So you've been a part of the Gonzaga family for a couple of years now and heading into your third season here. You've probably had some time now to settle in. What's made Spokane start to feel like home for you?
Being from Tacoma and having visited Spokane many times, Spokane felt like home right away. The difference is now when I go back home to Tacoma, just how many people talk about how special it is that I'm at Gonzaga to them, like my family in Tacoma. The things about Spokane that I love is one, the community really supports us. Even through our ups and downs, there's like this underlying thing that we're in this with you versus like all about wins and losses now. A competitive community, but also they just kind of ride the wave with us. And I think that's special. And I see that when I'm at the grocery store, when I'm at the mall, when I'm anywhere with my son, just the hellos and the highs go a long way in this community.
You've talked before about coaching being more than just X's and O's. When you think about your role here at Gonzaga, what do you see as your deeper responsibility for this program, not just in terms of helping the team win, but in shaping the culture, supporting the players as people, and contributing to the overall mission?
I think every single person or organization, when they show up day one of the summer, they have this vision who they want to be by the end of the summer. And so my deeper role is to take every single one of those people in our organization, top to bottom, and make sure I find ways to push them to their goal. And for some guys, it's strictly a basketball decision. For some guys, it's how they monitor their life. For some guys, it's being able to handle pressure and handle moments better. So every single guy has a different thing that you walk them with. And this is from GAs to coaches to video guys. Like I take an assertive approach with everyone individually to make sure that I can help guide them along that process. And to me, that is helping them win, because if that person grows into the person that they want to become, the whole organization is getting better as a whole.
So coaching often involves a balance between focusing on the fundamentals and allowing players to rely on their instincts. How do you approach that balance? Are there specific moments during a game or practice where you feel it's time to step back and let the players move and play freely?
I think there's two approaches. In the one that I like to go with is discipline before freedom. So once a player you don't ever master the fundamentals of something that you do every single day. When I was a head coach, I used to call them the daily vitamins. Like these are something you're gonna do every single day. And if you do these details every day, then you'll have ultimate freedom. And so I think the way in which we do it, actually no, the way in which we do it here, we have our breakdowns that are the fundamentals of our program, of our offense. The breakdowns are just fundamentals of our post play. Like since we do those things religiously, when they get into a game to perform, they play with freedom because they know the fundamentals of what's required. But you never get bored of the fundamentals if you're an elite player, because you know that's what the average player gets bored of. And you want to beat him when you stand up next to him. So that's why you hone down on the fundamentals part. But you never get away from the fundamentals.
Coaches often pass on lessons to players that they wish they learned themselves when they were a player. Is there something you teach your players now that no one taught you when you were playing, and looking back, you wish you had?
You know, when I was coming through, you really didn't have that trainer in the gym with you every single day. So what I tell my players is take advantage of having someone, whether it's a manager or as a coach, who will walk you through everything in our offense. Take advantage of all those teaching moments and take advantage of everyone in our organization whose basketball IQ is through the roof. Like I did not have that growing up. I had to go on YouTube or I had to, Google certain things. Like we have guys in our organization who are so skilled at what they do that I tell them, take advantage of it, because in your 3 years, your 4 years, or maybe even your 1 year, you're gonna wish you had more time with said person. Like right now, go all in with those relationships.
When you're looking at recruits, what's something you look for that you can't really see on the highlight reel, but you know is a must-have for them to succeed?
Just how they celebrate their opponent, their teammates when they make a big play, but then how their teammates celebrate them when they make a big play. You can tell real quick if a really good player is selfish or if a really good player fits the team concept. Because there's a lot of elite players out there that don't fit us. And then there's elite players out there who fit us like a glove. And those things are not in the stat sheet. if a guy's 2 passes away defensively, is he on the balls of his feet or is he on his toes? Like, is he anticipating? Like, those are things that, defensively that I've learned to look for. And then just how he treats his teammates, how he talks to refs. Now, you don't got to be the nicest guy to the ref, but are you engaging people during the game? Are you communicating? Those things stand out. Now, does a player have to do those things to stand out? No. But if they do, it goes a long way.
And with recruiting becoming more and more transactional these days in today's college landscape, how do you stay true to who you are and keep things authentic with recruits?
It's not tricky at all. If you're not transactional, then whatever the climate you're coaching in, working in, you don't have to follow the trend. So for me, it has not been tricky because I'd rather be true to who I am than anything else. The way that I'm gonna do it is gonna be totally different than how somebody else does it. The transactional part still comes at the end and is part of it, but it does not get in the way of how I'm gonna recruit a player. I'm not adjusting how I recruit because I need that player and that family to know when their son arrives in Spokane and is playing in the kennel that who I am to their son. And when they see me coaching them, they understand that because of the relationship built through recruiting. So I can't adjust my approach just because this is how it works, just how it works. Okay, that kid can go somewhere else then. And we'll continue to find those families who are mission fits, who are program fits, and would thrive under Coach Few.
Speaking of Coach Few, what's the biggest lesson you've learned from working under him, not just about coaching, but about leadership and, like we were just talking about, building upon those relationships?
To focus on what matters. There's a lot of things in recruiting, a lot of things in the games, a lot of things in practice that in a sense becomes fluff. And so he has a very, very high awareness of which detail translates into production. And those are the details you focus on. So for me as a coach, that's one of the biggest things I've learned from him. And then also that's how he lives his life, right? Like, instead of having 1,000 friends, have 10. Like start to, hone in on what really, really matters. And I think that is, why we are and how we play the way in which we play.
The scoreboard doesn't always reflect it, but culture shapes everything. What's something behind the scenes at Gonzaga that you think really defines what this program is about in the culture sense?
If you are in our gym from May to September, you will have met 10 to 11 alumni because they just always seem to be hanging out in a practice facility. To me, that's culture. If your graduated players come back to your facility on their own, that's culture. Because they could be training anywhere in the world and they come back. So you can have all the slogans on the wall. When your current players look over in the weight room and they see, Joel Ayayi, or they see, Stockton in there, they see these guys, like they see Pangos, like that's family. And that shows them that, okay, that's what culture looks like, is when Big Brother comes back home and you don't have to. And they become the best teachers of what culture is because they can tell our players, hey, this is how you succeed playing at Gonzaga, playing for Coach Few. These are the things that are passed down. So I think culture is passed down through its players. It's formed and formulated by the head, by the leadership, but it's really, translated to the players by the alumni.
Speaking of those alumni, there are a lot of those guys thriving in the NBA. What do you think has allowed Gonzaga to consistently produce pros at such a high level?
One, I think being Gonzaga, the level of player we are allowed to recruit. These are elite young men that come from great families that have very high goals. I also think playing here under Coach Few and under our staff, you learn how to work and you also learn how to develop. So they don't see the NBA as a finish line. They see it as, okay, once I get here, what do I do to develop? They learn how to take advantage of resources in their NBA organizations. And then I tell guys in recruiting, if you're a Zag and you leave Gonzaga to go to the NBA or a GM's calling you, there's a couple boxes, can he do this, can he do this, is he high character? That high character box gets checked because once you're here for a certain long amount of time, that variable is gonna be checked because that's how we move an organization. And when you're in the NBA, that's so important. Can you learn? Do you have the ability to continue to learn concepts, to continue to improve as a player?
When you're deep into the season and there's some pressure, the travel, the grind of it all, what's something that always reminds you why you fell in love with coaching in the first place?
I would say like the bus trip from the airplane to the hotel, where it's just like everyone's loading on the bus, the coaches are loading the bags. Like if somebody were to walk by, they wouldn't know if they didn't know who we were and they saw a coach, they wouldn't know who the head coach was. Everyone's just loading the bag, we're jumping on the bus, guys are laughing like that. I don't care where you're at, junior college, we did the same thing. High school, we got on, like, so those micro moments where you see guys not too concerned with the moment, but just kind of just like, man, we're just on the road, we're with our boys. Like those moments remind me the most. And then sometimes when you see, like on a senior night, when you see their families show back up and they got the little brothers or the little sisters running around and they get to see how they look up to them. That reminds me of it all because I looked up to players, I looked up to my older brother, and that gives me the nostalgia, I think, of why I got into coaching, so like people can see you achieve something and then they know they can achieve it as well.
With so much roster turnover this year, what's been the staff's message to both returners and the newcomers as they compete for major roles?
The message is the same: win. I mean, you came to Gonzaga because you had a goal, and that goal was to win, to continue to elevate yourself as an individual. And then our returners, Graham, Huff, those guys have done a very good job of vocalizing areas on a court we want to be known for next year. And so I'll let those guys, when they get their chance, talk about that. But having guys in the program who are saying, this is what we want to be known for, like, those are the things that I think are special with this new team. I would say new players, but it's going to be the same team. As far as Gonzaga, we're going to play the same style. We're going to play a style that's very hard to defend. And then we have some longer, more athletic guys. So defensively, we'll add some juice as well.
And speaking of some of those guys that have been added, looking specifically at those transfers, Jalen Worley, Braden Smith, and Adam Miller, what stands out about each of their approaches this offseason as they adjust to being a part of Gonzaga's culture?
Their desire to want to be here was so high. And then their maturity, they've all played at high major institutions. So they walked in with little things, but then they also knew that there's something they wanted to do in their game that in recruiting process, we hit on that point. So just the maturity in which they've showed up has been special to watch. I tell guys all the time, when you get to a new place, especially as a transfer, you get a chance to reinvent yourself. So the bad habits that you had at your old institution, like you get a chance for us to never see them, but you got to know what those are. So I tell them all in that first week, remember what you left behind, take some of those attributes with you, but some of that stuff that you wanted to grow from it. And I think those guys have done a great job of growing themselves as individuals within the team concept that way.
And a different thing about this offseason was Coach Few spent mostly the whole summer here in Spokane. Unlike the previous 2 years of you being here, he's been involved with Team USA. Have you noticed any shift in how that environment's changed and how the staff focuses on things, or how the offseason's approached with him now being able to be here for an entire offseason?
I think the biggest change would just be the small conversations he's able to have off the floor and on the side with the guys. The way in which he's equipped our staff to develop and to land on how we want to play X's and O's wise, we can do those things in the gym. But the bow that he puts on the deal with just the one-on-one time he gets with the guys. So then when you're in those early season crunch games, he has that emotional relationship with the player because they've been at the lake or they've played pickleball, or they've walked around on campus. Like those little things. I don't care what role you are, if you're not the head coach, it's hard to be able to push those buttons in the middle of the game. And so him being here for those, I think those have been the sweetest moments, especially for our transfers, right? And then for the guys who return. I think that's the biggest difference I've seen. As far as on the floor and what we do, I mean, he has done an amazing job preparing his assistants, preparing us to coach the team and to be able to move, throughout a summer the right way. But there's always that extra season he puts on top of it that is the reason he's Coach Few.
Now, fans often talk about Gonzaga needing that national championship to be seen as maybe truly successful. With that pressure that fans can try to project, how do you and the team stay grounded and focused more on just enjoying the process rather than getting caught up in that end goal that comes only when March is around?
I think Coach Few brings guys into the organization who enjoy the work. Like, I mean, there's not a coach on this planet, NCAA basketball coach on this planet, and we're doing this interview in August, that is sitting here not working to win a national championship. So no one can put more pressure on yourself than you, no one can put more pressure than you. So irregardless of the outside noise, we just do the work. We get lost, literally get lost in the work. And I think that's one of the things where I said earlier, where Coach eliminates the fluff and things. He gets us so present in what we're doing in that moment, who we're preparing for, you know, what our numbers are, the way B. Mike and Gentry break down offense and defense, and Jorge does the film, and those things. The details that we talk about kind of hijack your mind and make you present. And I think those are one of the things that allow us to not hear the outside noise and feel those pressures. But then at the end of the day, man, like, you're a high-level competitor. You wake up wanting that pressure. Like, you know, I'd rather have the pressure to win than anything else.
Well, Coach Barsh, I appreciate your time sitting down with me.
No problem.